Mhm.
Okay, so it is Monday, January 31st. Tonight, I wanted to do a back to basics training. And it's not necessarily going through systems, but more so the mindset of a few things here, because I'm a firm believer that 99% of our frustrations that we experience in this business can really be solved by going back to basics, right? And Meliza, I know you're just starting, so this is going to be some good perspective for you as you go into your journey with this.
Mhm.
So, as the world is slowly opening up, right? Depending on where you're at, and if you're watching the recording, this is the right time, the right now, the right vehicle, as they always say, to really get in back to belly with people. And I know I've mentioned to some, like, for me, oddly enough, but kind of makes sense, that Bumble BFF really worked in terms of meeting women online, but then wanting to meet up locally at coffee shops, or going out for dinner or doing something like that. So this is a time right now to really leverage this space, and to really get to know people outside of being online, because a lot of people have like Zoom Zoom fuzziness, Zoom hangovers in a way, where they're over it. And so people are craving that connection. And so it's now's the time. Now is the time. So before I get into the three main things I'm going to be going on about tonight, let's just do a recap in terms of plugging into the systems that we have. Okay, so going back to basics. If you're watching this on the recording, I'm sure that you've had somebody, guide you through what it takes to start this business, with starting your list, with, creating your first post, with how to reach out to those people that have liked and commented, etc. And so we have a lot of different systems. In the US, I'm really leveraging the oureasytraining.com, especially with the collagen on there, because there's a really good training on there. And then in isogenicsbusiness.com, there's literally different sections depending on what rank you're at. Like if you're an associate, right? Like some of your associates on here, consultants, managers, there's different tabs at isogenicsbusiness.com depending on your rank, right? And then also the Elixir launch for collagen builders. So I know that we've had a few people on here leverage that Elixir launch for people that are wanting to build, and just helping them roll over to from customer to associate, helping them create their own links, etc. So just know that you've got systems in place. And what I'm going to get into next is, you're going to be going into this space now where we need to go back to really getting back to the basic principles, okay? And stay open-minded here with me. So we really, really need to get clear on what your team looks like, what you want, right? So just say like you're going out on the town and you're getting all fancy, you're getting your hair done, makeup, nails, you've got this outfit going on. You have when people see you, like, they're like, damn, like, she's well polished, she's got style, she cares about what she looks like, she looks wonderful, like all these things, right? And so we need to get clear on the types of people that we're trying to attract into our businesses, right? So we're all our individual business owners, but we're doing this together as a team. We're all connected as family. So really, who are the types of people that you want to do business with, right? If you've already created a list, or if you haven't, just say you already have created a list, maybe recalibrate it. Sometimes it's good to go back every few months and really see who is on there. And I'm going to get into this Apple theory at the end of this. But if you haven't created a list yet of just say 10 to 20 people that you want to work with, then let's get clear on the character traits, the personality traits, the value systems of the person that you're looking to partner with, right? Even the habits, how they smile, their energy, how do they show up on social media, right? It's really, really important that, we need to have that energetic anchor, okay? We need to understand, what is our North Pole? Who am I seeking? Okay, because one thing I'll get into here is, we have to be consciously aware. We have to be consciously aware. Okay. So now that you've got your list of people that you want to connect with, depending on the types of character traits, values, belief systems, all that in place, now we need to know, okay, are we surrounding ourselves, just inviting another person in, are we surrounding ourselves enough to recognize these people? Okay. What I mean by that is when you're creating this list of all these different character traits, and you're like, I want somebody that is hardworking, that's open-minded, that is consistent, that is just always, you know, optimistic, you know, these character traits, these belief systems, these values. One of the things that we need to understand is, are we recognizing them as we're wanting these? Because sometimes you may be at the gym and you've got your earplugs in and you're pretty much saying, I'm not available. Or you may not see the people that are available, right? You may be missing the point because you're plugged off. So we really need to make sure, because you don't want these people to be invisible to you or vice versa, okay? So this is how you set the intention. Every day you leave the house and you jump on social media, or you're at the grocery store, you're at the gym, you're filling up your gas tank, whatever you're doing, you need to put your prospecting conscious hat on. Okay, you need to pop it on. And this is when you go back to your list. Who are the people that you're wanting to attract? Who are these people that you put down with the value systems, the traits that you desire from your list? Okay, you need to have that on, okay? And so we need to make sure that we're looking for these people and not being turned off from it. And what I mean by that as well is sometimes we're like, I want this woman and I want this guy and oh my gosh, like they're everything that I want to be. But then that's when we need to check ourselves and ask, are we showing up as that first? Because how can you possibly attract what you want if you're not showing up as that person? You don't have to be perfect, right? We're not perfect, but are you actually consciously showing up and trying to be the best version of the person you aspire to attract, right? So it's really, really important that you get into that part. And this is where I get into building your local community, because I spent a lot of my time building. I would say, to be honest with you, I didn't really start getting really into the building of this business the way I do it until about a year ago. All the other years, I was an avid product user, loved it, and I was just learning the skills, learning about myself, learning about personal development, the compensation plan, going to all the events, and just being a learner. And so one of the things that I got stuck in was just staying in the same list of people in Australia. Like I legit was just following up with people on Facebook Messenger instead of actually branching out and building my network, and more importantly, building it locally. So like going back to the beginning, you know, how I started finding people and building the small, beautiful family that I built here in Arizona is because I was intentional of the types of women I was seeking to attract. And how I would do that would be Bumble, BFF, LinkedIn, Instagram, all these things, but then being intentional to actually follow through and be like, you know, hey, I love our conversation here. I love the energy. I would love to take this offline and meet up for coffee and get to know you better. Does that sound good or whatever, right? So it's really important that you're building your local community. Does that all make sense to everybody in terms of like the types of energy that you want to be putting out there in terms of receiving the types of people you want to work with? Okay. And if you need help, especially like if you need to recalibrate your list, what's going to be really helpful is getting clarity in who you're looking for. Start writing down what are the values and the traits and the character traits and all that stuff that you want in somebody that you're seeking to partner with Isagenix. Write it down, then write your list of people. Never judge as well. I always say this to people. Sometimes we prejudge before putting them on paper, but you just never know, right? I always say the ones that you think will, won't, and the ones that won't will. So just get really clear. Thirdly, this is the Apple theory, is you're going to come across 3 different people as you're building this. Okay, you're going to come across the red apples. And I like to have notes as I'm doing this. You need to understand this, okay? So there's going to be the ripe ones. They're ready for picking. They're ready to go. They're all about it. They're excited. They're like, sign me up. I'm all for this. Even if it's a customer or if they're a business builder, like, let's go. What are the systems in place? They're diligent. They're self-learners. They ask questions. They ask for help. They use the systems, right? They're resourceful, right? So these people, they're ready to go. And when they come into your life, you'll know who they are. It's easy to see a red apple, okay? Now, the second one is the green apples, okay? They're not quite ripe yet, but if you leave them on the tree long enough and you nurture it and you water it and you apply sunlight and you feed it, eventually they'll turn into a red, okay? In terms of the timing, it may be within a day, it may be within 1 week, it may be in 3 months, 6 months, it may be 3 years, it might be 5 years. There are top income earners like Del Rey Messer. If you guys watch Del Rey's Connection Call, it took her, what, 6 or 7 years to say yes to Isagenix. Okay, so it really depends on, you know, long term, if you're building this long term, it's really important that you're going back to the follow-up. And that's why when you're connection and when you're connecting with these people, you know, what is your process? Are you using PennyApp? I know she's a pain sometimes, but are you using PennyApp? Do you have a system in place to follow up on? And if you don't, have you connected with your sponsor to help them give you more clarity to guide you through on a system that would work best for you, right? Because, you know, the thing is, right, is will they turn ripe for you when it's time for them to turn ripe as a red? Will they be ready for you? It really depends on, have you been nurturing that relationship enough? Because they may be ready, but they're like, oh, well, I'm going to go with this person. So that's where it's like, I understand that we have a goal here, like we have a vision to help these people. But as you're building this, it's really important to establish that relationship. And in the beginning, as you're building this, a lot of it, and always, let me just take that back. But in the beginning, a lot of this is going to be a lot about personal development and growing yourself more than anything, right? Because you may be like, I want to attract this person, but I'm not showing up as her. And then we get stuck and we overthink, like, I don't know how to be that way. But sometimes it is as simple as getting up and making your bed. It may be just the simple steps of working towards being the person that you want to be that matters. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Now, with these green apples, in terms of follow-ups, it may be getting them to 3-way combos, just say with me, you, and the prospect, or Mara, you, and the prospect. It may be adding them into the Facebook group, giving them tools. They may be, a lot of the time, they're analytical, they can be quite skeptical, but skeptical in a positive way, that they want to know more information. So like, that's our job. We're just the messengers. So you're just constantly giving them tools. You don't have to know everything. We have everything. You just give the tools, okay? And then constantly going back and forth. Eventually they're going to come through, okay? And just nurture them. A lot of the time, they'll come into your business while watching you for these past few years, right? Or if you're new, they're going to be watching you. I have people that didn't sign up until 3 years later, but they've been watching. And so that's why with your consistency, it's important. I wanted to backtrack a little bit too, going back to character traits and values and things like that. As you grow, it changes as well. There's some things in your life that are going to change. So that's why I think it's important to readjust your list as well, because there's going to be some things that are not in alignment with you anymore, but you're still trying to like find it, but it's not in alignment. Does that make sense? So the third apple is the rotten apple, and it's exactly as it sounds, okay? Complaining, nothing is good enough, it's a scam, MLM this, what will people think, I can't do it, victim mindset, okay? The novices will hold on to these people. It's almost like this comfort zone that we want to be the hero. We want to prove them wrong. We want to be like, no, like, but I trying to convince them. And in the beginning of my journey, that is what I did. I had a list. The whole list was rotten apples. And I'm trying to somehow turn rotten apples into red apples. It's just, we are on a time limit here, and we're all busy people, and there is no point investing your time into rotten apples. Run with the green apples, find the reds, but don't keep pulling along people that are unwilling to help themselves. The best part of you that you can do for rotten apples is keep showing up in your light and being the best person you can be, and maybe themselves magically can switch that around. But it's not our job to keep pulling people along that don't want to be helped. Okay? So you got to understand here, the moment I've had a few rotten apples in the beginning of my journey, and let me tell you, you know what happens when you have a beautiful bowl of apples and you put a rotten one in there, right? It pollutes it. It pollutes it. So you need to understand here, it's like you've got to understand what type of culture and community do you want. Okay, so go back to your list. If you haven't started one, I highly recommend one. And really take a look at, have you been holding on to some rotten apples for too long? Is it time to find some new ones? Is it time to harvest? Is it time to plant? What is going on with your list, okay? And most importantly, show up as the person that you want. Show up as that person now. A lot of you already do that, in my opinion, and I see that in you, okay? That's the reason why you're on this call. But it's really important, even in any relationship, if it's, you know, romantic, friendship, business, whatever, if you're putting pressure upon somebody to show up in a certain way, the first question you should ask yourself is, are you showing up as that person yourself? That's really, really important. So yeah, going back to your list, who's actually, let's like ask some questions because we've got a short little group here tonight. Who has a list or who has started a list? Mara, great. There you go. And see, Mara's been doing this for 8-9 years now. Mara, do you recalibrate your list often?
All the time.
Yeah.
It's so funny when you said that. I aligned a lot with that because I feel like I've come different from last year.
Yeah.
Compared to this year, and I'm so different than when I first started. So I got, you know, when I was training a little bit more on the branding and the marketing triangle and figuring out your audience and stuff like that, I never used to be that focused on the right avatar, like just either your tribe or that one person that you really actually enjoy hanging out with. So I had to think about, like, if I'm enrolling this person, I want to run with them in the business. Do I actually want to be on trips with them? Do I have anything else to talk about with them outside of the business, like family, kids, like what are they interested in? Are they also maybe immigrants like me? Like I just think of everything now because I'm like, I want to go places with these people. Like with you, Steph, I know, like, oh my God, we're going to have the best time. We meet up at celebration. I'm sure with Kaz, with you and Crystal and everyone, like with Talisa as well, I can't wait to meet you guys in person because I just know we're going to have the best time. And we're probably going to talk about Isagenix very little. Those are the relationships that I want to be creating now. So when I look at my list now, I'm like, would I make the effort to drive at least 30 minutes to meet them somewhere? Which right now, because of everything that's happened in the world, we're not really holding that many events and people aren't as bothered. They'd rather be at home and jump on a Zoom in their PJs. So I'm like, and it's the same for me, guys. I'm like, we have to make the effort. Even with some of our friends we haven't seen in like months, we're like, okay, we're both guilty for this, but like, let's make the effort. And now we make the effort. We either meet halfway or we go to Gold Coast and back. And it's an hour drive there and back. But I'm like, is it worth the effort? So now I look at the quality of the conversations we're going to have, the fact that we're friends and so on. So that's the thing. Yeah, the list. This one is a new list, and I made boys and girls just in my notes, and you can create a new table. And I'm actually going for different countries. So I don't know if you guys consider this. I know, Carol, even for you, like you could actually go like Mexico, like if you really wanted, you could go like anywhere in Europe. Like I'm doing European countries. And I'm literally going, when I went to high school, there were a couple of people I met from Denmark, from Germany. Zaren's played basketball with quite a few international people, and in Europe as well. So we're like, let's just do lists per countries. Like, why not? We're in all of these countries internationally, and you don't realize how limited you've felt, or you've been, or you've imposed this limit on yourself, like Steph did with just Australian lists, Australian conversations, until you start going like, shit, I actually really do know somebody that you just need to know one or two people in each country. And then you ask them, hey, are you part of any groups on Facebook or any communities where I could perhaps promote the fact that I'm now helping people with their well-being, with their stress, with their energy? They're probably going to be more than likely like happy to help you, to introduce you to the group, to introduce you into a community and help you out. So you're not even having to necessarily sign them up, but just ask for permission to be part of a larger community. That when you get this, the power of networking is not you knowing thousands of people, is knowing a few key people and working, collaborating with them to then have access to their networks.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will blow your mind what's possible. Are you guys getting this? It's like, it's not, and then you're going to feel less overwhelmed too, because then you can see that it's like, the smart way to do this, it's not working a million hours a day. It's having very good quality conversations with a few key people that have beautiful networks, communities. So yeah, that's all that I was going to say to that. And yeah, great call, Steph. Isn't it funny how we're like back to basics, and you can talk so much about this, because at the end of the day, it's like salsa. Like I remember doing a few years of salsa, and I've gone back to this really good trainer, dancer coach, I don't even know what they're called anymore, instructor. And he's like, I was paying $70 to do one-on-ones. And for the first 3 sessions, all we did is the basic walk. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. I thought, oh my God, what a waste of my money. But I got that basic so damn like legit. It was part of my body and reflex. I mean, I used to walk in the rhythm. Like it was just like salsa every day for me. And I got so good that the moves then, the intricate things and spins, I always felt on the right thing. I was always on beat. I was always on time, because that basic was ingrained in me. And it's the same with this. Like along the years, you're going to learn new skills. But if you just do the basics all of the time, make a list, talk to new people, send them the systems, coach them in that, literally you cannot fail. And all the little things that you gather along the years, like we all have, that's just the fun part of you gathering the wisdom through adversity, through bad apples, which will happen. That's just the fun stuff. And then we have each other to lean on each other to talk about like, oh yeah, I've gone through my first bad apple, and and like, I'd rather, not be greedy and roll that person than have to deal with the toxicity.
Yep.
Or whatever. But anyway, I'll pass it on back to you, Steph, because I do like to talk.
No, I love it. I love it, Mara. Thank you so much. You're just, I love you. You're amazing. But there's, again, like if, I know a few of you were jumping on here a little bit over, so I just wanted to just go back to the first part of how I started this is 99% of our frustrations we experience in this business can be solved by going back to basics, okay? So that's why I want you to realize that if you get lost, if you need your North Star, if you need something, go back to your list. You're in control of your list. There is no boss giving you a list and saying, these are the people that you've got to work with, no exceptions. You get to create your list. It's up to you. Have fun with it. Who do you want? Who do you want to attract into your life? Who do you want? Do you want a Mara? Do you want a Stephanie? Do you want an Emily Vavra? Who do you want? Right? And then from there, start embodying those traits in your own unique way. This is a beautiful part of learning basic business skills, networking skills, and developing yourself. Right? So, and again, also remember, now that you understand who are the people that are going to be on your list with the values and the character traits, etc., when you're going out in public, be hyper aware and see and pay attention to the body language, to how someone looks at you, to how someone shows up, their presence, their energy. Be hyper aware of these people that are coming into your life. If you feel drawn to them, say hello, make an introduction, connect with them. It is so simple these days. Be really aware. Yeah, go ahead.
Just with the being aware with like when you're out, this is so true, you guys. Like we went to Costco the other day, like I'm full of stories today. We went to Costco the other day and we overheard the guys, you know, the shop assistant, as they were like scanning the stuff through for the customers ahead of us. He was saying, oh yeah, I just started my own business with like a fashion sort of label. And so when it was our turn, Zara went straight for it to talk to the guy, saying, oh, I overheard, did you just open? He's like, yeah, I used to sell cars and I really liked that, but then COVID hit and then now I'm like stuck here sort of thing. But I was like, whatever, I sold my car and started my own fashion label. And I was like, I take my phone, I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing, congratulations, do you mind if I follow it? Like, what's the name of it? I get the name of it, tag the label, it's called. I start following, I message him, I was like, we met at the checkout, like, you know, congrats on this. And he would be amazing at what we do. And so my next message, now I didn't have time to say it then, but I say this to people when they serve us at restaurants. I was like, you'd be great at what we do. It's Kathy Coover's line. Yeah. Oh, you'd be great at what we do. And then don't blur out, la, la, la. It's just go, do you have a Facebook or an Instagram that I could like, all right, Kaz, that I could message you on, and then you can send them information later on. So that was my thing. And then the other thing is when we actually went the other night to a restaurant with our friends, the lady serving us, like she's Eastern European like me, like a mix, very fiery. She spoke the whole time. She's very open, only 21, super mature for her age. And I've messaged her afterwards to say, oh, you know, thank you so much. And then now my next message is be like, damn, you, like, thank you so much for your service. We're definitely coming back. You'll be amazing at what we do. And not having the fear around it, because it's just, you know, people you've met once, you may see them or not see them again, but like, why not share with them? Like it's you just never know. Like I always think like someone didn't share with me. Like even I was skeptic at the beginning and didn't think this was, you know, something. So yeah, you're so right about noticing people wherever you are, whether it's a cafe, even shopping your stuff, quickly just go like, oh damn, you'd be so great at what we do. Do you have an Instagram I could like send you some info on? Done. Yeah, I just want to add that in. It's just great at connect. Just become really fearless.
Fearless. I love that, fearless. And that's something that you have to learn as well. It's a skill. And so give network marketing the opportunity to let this be your apprenticeship and entrepreneurship, because this is an industry where it's okay to keep learning and growing, pivot, you know, take a few, add a few, leave a few, do what you need to do, right? So anyway, I think we're going to wrap that up now. I think that was, you know, just a great back to basics for everybody. In terms of getting more in depth with your list, if you go to just oureasytraining.com and you select nutrition step 1 and you go to executive launch, there's a video there. There is a list there. There are step-by-step on how to do this. Obviously, I would love to go on and on and on about this and get more in depth, but obviously, you know, we have time restraints. We're all living our lives. So this is where it comes up to you to you know, be that self-disciplined and show up and use the tools that we have, and self-study and practice until you come to a point where you're like, oh, I need some clarification. I'm going to ask my upline. I'm going to ask my sponsor. I'm going to ask my friend who's in this, whatever works for you. So anyway, I appreciate you all joining us tonight. And if you're watching the recording and you have any questions, let us know. We'll be happy to help you out. Thank you so much for joining tonight, guys.